Special episode of Red Table Talk.
It's like the psycho version. Jesus.
Imagine all these people in one room.
I just want somebody like to walk in right now, has no idea what the hell's going on, just opens the door and just
Sorry, wrong room.
like we all just
Everyone just.
no one says anything. Like,
I'm just gonna excuse myself.
No one says a day. They just walk in like, what the hell?
everybody, welcome to a very special Terror-ific episode of the NosCast. This is our special Halloween edition, and we welcome y'all. I don't know if y'all can hear me, but under this mask, you know, under my Thriller Werewolf, it's your boy Leroy Green. And of course here I'm joined today, not with Dragoff, but with
Reaper.
Reaper. We also got Kylo Ren joining us today.
Greetings from the First Order.
We got my man, the one and only Ghostface, here today.
What's your favorite scary movie?
And then the one and only, the juggernaut, Jason Voorhees, on the podcast today. He says thank you. Hold on, it's getting hot now.
Oh.
Okay. All right. There we go. All right. I'm back in the regular character. But welcome, everybody. Our special Halloween edition. Y'all can take your mask off if y'all want.
That was pretty spooky.
It was.
Yeah, I was in character. I was like, Jason doesn't talk. He's a man of very few words.
Yo, what's up with everyone? How's everyone been this weekend?
I finally started going through my playthrough of the entire Resident Evil series.
Ooh.
I started on the first one. I never played it.
Welcome to the club, man.
I only played the second one, the 2 remake. When that got me hooked, and then I saw all of them on sale for like $5 each, and I was like, so now's the time, I guess.
Which one are you on right now?
The 1 remake remaster.
Resident Evil 1.
Yeah,
okay.
The first one.
Amazing game. You're gonna love it, man. You're gonna love it.
I'm just getting used to the fixed camera angle sort of thing.
Yeah, that was the only downfall of like the early games, you know, with the pre-rendered 3D backgrounds and, you know, the fixed camera angles. But the game, it's still fun itself, even though you don't have the best camera angles sometimes. But the game is still amazing, and you only got to put up with that up until maybe the third. If you play the original third game, I don't know. Did you gonna play that one or the
Probably
HD,
the remake.
HD remake.
It's spoiled.
Yeah. I see. You still enjoyed the game, though. You still enjoy it. Anybody else? What y'all been up to?
This weekend, I actually visited the 3rd-ranked haunted house in the U.S. Actually, Field of Screams in Pennsylvania.
How was it?
The actors were great, like a lot better than I thought. The attractions were also really good.
That's what's up. What was the best part of it?
The hayride for sure. It had different sections where it stops and you're like trapped in a room, and they make you know it's real when you have to sign a waiver.
Oh, did this place they get to touch you at this one?
A little bit, nothing too crazy.
Rough you up a bit?
Yeah, like with the fake chainsaw, they'll like hit you with it. Yeah, nothing too.
Just drag you.
Nothing like what we.
Your next display.
Put a bag over your head. Roof.
Nothing like what we talked about 2 episodes ago.
Next thing you know, you're waking up in a tub full of ice, missing a kidney in Thailand.
Oh man, what about you, George? Anything cool?
I guess the most exciting thing was yesterday when AOC was streaming, and it was almost
She
up to
did.
Yeah,
She did.
like
She broke records.
yeah,
I heard.
430,000 people were watching her alone. So
And she was playing what, Among Us?
She's playing
Yeah,
Among Us. Yeah.
Okay, that's what's up.
Look at that.
I even tuned in for that for a little bit.
Yeah.
I tuned in right when it was her and Ihan as the imposters, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is a
Yeah,
perfect
she was
spot.
How'd she do? Did she do good?
She was terrible. She didn't get a single kill that round. The round that I saw, at least.
But the people that were streaming were like really like being nice about it. They try not to kill them or anything. Try to help them out as much as they can. So.
Hey, AOC, you're great as a politician.
That's
all that
playing
matters.
with a bunch of like professional streamers too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, a bunch of professional 13-year-olds.
I mean, I get why she done it though. Like, hey, you know, she's got to encourage, you know, the childrens and kids out here to vote. You know,
Facts.
You know, I hope she streams more. It's probably be the only time.
She plays League, right?
Does she?
Yeah, she plays League.
Yeah,
They were talking about it on
her fine self, bro. Of course she do. I just want to watch her play games, yo. She looks too good to just only see her, you know, on you know, anytime something political comes out. She should stream more, you know. She would make an awesome streamer. I don't know. What about you? Get up anything, Greg?
No. Well, I dropped a couple more pounds, which is good. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm also very excited. We just released Hack and Slash, which is a sketch that I wrote and directed. You can watch it on our YouTube channel here. And it was very fun. We're getting a lot of great response from this one. And, you know, it's really, you know, helping me. And, you know, now I'm just like, okay, now I got to get the next sketch out. Now I'm just like that, keep that momentum going. So we're getting a lot of great response from Cameron and the latest sketch we released, Hack and Slash. So I'm very happy about that and how it turned out, you know, and shout out to our amazing editor, AJ, who's behind the production today.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, so I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, no, it came out good. Had a lot. I had fun playing Jason Voorhees.
It took me a second to
sketch.
figure out if that was you.
Yeah, that was
there
he
for the
was
shoot.
he was. Listen,
And then I was like,
if you're watching, he's Jason. As you can see, I was Michael Myers and John was Ghostface.
Fun time.
It was very fun. I love the fact that how you ran, because like I said, you didn't even run like Ghostface and Scream. You ran like Ghostface from Scary Movie, which was even better.
Yeah.
Even better. I wish I had, because we all know Ghostface is like really like clumsy.
Clumsy, yeah.
I should have had you like trip down the stairs.
I should have felt.
I mean, you gotta think about it. Like look how long his rows
getting in
are,
this
like,
chair was hard
Exactly.
enough, man.
I know.
Like,
I'm
this
stuck
would
to everything.
snag on the door.
I feel like
Ghostface would be a terrible killer in real life. Like, it's even hard just to see in that mask. Like, this is why
Exactly.
he's always getting his ass kicked, you know, and tripping over everything. Because look how long these robes are.
He should have
like,
picked a more practical outfit
Oh.
to kill in. Like all the like slashers have practical outfits. Like, you know, Jason's practical. You know, Michael Myers is even very simple, just a
got a
jumpsuit.
mechanic suit, yeah.
Yeah, mechanic suit. You know what I mean? Freddy.
He's meant to get dirty. You know?
Yeah, he likes getting his hands dirty. Freddy, a Christmas sweater. You know, Chucky, overalls. This guy's got to have a whole thing that drags on the floor, gets dirty. You got to get it dry clean. Like, come on, anybody got time for that?
Gets caught in the doorway.
Watchmen style.
Well, yeah, you're gonna end up like Dollar Bill from get wet up.
Oh, man. What's been going on? Power Rangers coming back for like 20th time.
Again, yeah.
They're rebooting it.
Yeah,
They're rebooting
I
it.
thought they were gonna continue off the one we got. Was it 3 years ago?
I think 2017. Did y'all
Yeah.
see it?
Yeah,
I seen it.
I
And
saw it
I
too.
enjoyed it.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a good film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good as well.
Everyone was worried about the original premise because they were going with the more alien technology, you know, thing. But the way they did it still worked, you know. Even with its kind of like Iron Man type of inspired like outfits. But I thought the movie itself, you know, was pretty good. It's a pretty good origin story, you know, for the Power Rangers, you know, showing them in their different lifestyles at first, and then in the second half of the movie, they're kind of just going through the training, and you don't even really see them as a full team in the Power Rangers till like the third act of the movie.
Yeah,
But
final battle.
when they were the Power Rangers, they were like the Power Rangers like from the Go-Go era. Like, you know, you hear them like, you know, talking and like while they're fighting and like saying all these like little puns and jokes and all that stuff. So it like I remember watching, I was like, damn, this really feels like I'm watching this on Fox like from way back. And I thought the way they captured the original feel of like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, that's one of the reasons why I really enjoyed it. So I would like to see them continue from that, but I guess they just
I don't think it made enough money.
Yeah.
I think
I
that was the thing, which was unfortunate because I feel like a lot of fans felt that way. I felt the same way when
I
they
thought
had
it was
the
a
final
fun
battle.
time.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
And
I thought it was a really good film. I thought that, you know, it's one of those fun films. It's how I felt about the first Ninja Turtle reboot film. It was a fun film. But here's the thing, like, because you said it didn't make enough money.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's because of, you know, the success Marvel has had that Marvel has set the bar, and it's like, well, if we don't make that type amount of money that they're making with their films, then well, we'll just kick it to the curve.
I feel like it was. I feel like that movie had the marketing wasn't so good because I went in with like super low expectations. So like this movie's gonna suck, and I feel like most people were like pleasantly surprised by it. Like they weren't like too excited for it. And I saw it and was just like, yeah.
Like I said, on surface, I was like, I don't know, man. It might be trash. And I actually watched the movie. I was like, never mind. This shit is fire.
So I don't think enough people actually went to go see it, and then like whoever did was just like a pleasantly surprised sort of thing.
Even I was in a pretty empty theater. Like it was only me and my boy in that whole theater when we seen it. So yeah, it was a shame that it didn't get the audience it deserved. You think it would? It's Power Rangers, like
Bryan Cranston as Zordon, like
maybe not with that movie, but in general, I do believe Marvel has set that standard.
Yeah,
like especially against DC, they got them rebooting everything and rushing things just to catch up to Marvel.
So it's like, damn.
And that's kind of what they're doing with this new Power Rangers. They're doing a movie series and a TV series, all spearheaded by the same person. It was going to coincide in one Power Rangers cinematic universe.
Are they still does Nickelodeon still have the rights to Power Rangers, or is not anymore? Because I remember they were playing them for a minute when it was kind of like on the Nickelodeon. Like,
they probably do, but
before and that was after like Fox had them. So I don't know. I don't think they doesn't say like Nickelodeon is producing
Nick is in trouble because they're starting to sell some of their shows to Netflix and to Premiere, and I think they'll still. I think when the Power Rangers movie came out, they just had the logo. They didn't even try to do any advertisements for it. They just had the logo up there, so they might have it, but maybe on a very loose thread.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of Nickelodeon shows are making their way to Hulu and Netflix, which
they said Nickelodeon and Netflix had a partnership that was announced like not too long. That was about maybe a year ago. They had announced like a partnership. I'm just hoping to see them stream all their old shows. Like I know they.
I was just about to say that
they have that like '90s all that like programming that they had on T-Nick for a while.
That's right.
But I'm hoping that they bring all these shows and just put them on streaming services.
That's why the Avatar blew up when it went to Netflix.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's been on the Nickelodeon streaming service, but no one's gonna pay for the Nickelodeon one.
I didn't even know they had one.
Yeah, me neither.
As far as I knew, I just knew about the deal that they had with Netflix. Like that was it. I didn't even know they had their own streaming. They don't need it. They just use Netflix. Like
that's how they got the Invader Zim movie and like the Rocco's
the Rocco movie
and stuff.
That's why I'm I like that HBO Go and Hulu's like trying to step up their game. I just want competitors, so at least when these shows go to Netflix, they're not heavy-handed. They're not on the bad side of the deal.
Yeah. Speaking of which, some other movie news. Michael B. Jordan is producing a live-action Static Shock movie. It's good to see. Static Shock.
I know. I gotta keep losing weight so I can get that role. I got the head. I already got the dreads for it. I gotta keep losing more weight and not tell my real age, and I can play Static Shock. Okay.
That Ford's birth certificate.
You got time. My man, Michael B. Jordan, man. So this is being produced by Outlier Society, which apparently is focused on more black superheroes. So maybe we'll get like Cyborg for like the third time. He's been shown so much in live action stuff, like because we got him in Doom Patrol, then
Justice League.
Well, now the Ray Fisher's getting in a lot of like drama with the DC because he keeps talking about so it's like they don't know if he's actually gonna like keep being back in there because
they got 50 cyborgs to choose from.
Yeah,
I know. Even my man, R.I.P. my man Jet Jackson, the famous Jet Jackson. He played Cyborg in Smallville.
So, like I said, they got choices. But it's Static Shock. Hey, I mean, do y'all have any
pay attention to the release date?
Guesses or predictions or like people y'all would want to see play the role of
I don't want to see it, but I know for a long time Jaden Smith was campaigning for it. I'm not the biggest fan of his as an actor, so. But I wouldn't be surprised if he starts like coming out the woodwork again, like
he probably will.
Campaign, yeah.
I would give him a shot if they did announce it. I'd be like, all right, because we didn't really see. Last time we saw Jaden Smith acting in anything was After Earth, and then before that was Karate Kid.
He was in that show, The Get Down on Netflix.
He was in a Get Down.
I give him a chance when he had that anime on Netflix. I forgot what it's called, but people, it was not well received.
Nah, it wasn't. Yeah.
I mean, he was good on the Get Down. I was a fan of the Get Down, and he was actually pretty good on the Get Down. Now, can he play Static Shock? I don't know. But I know my pick would be, I can't think of his name, but he is the actor from Stranger Things.
Okay. He plays Lucas.
Yes.
Caleb. What's his name?
Starts with an M, right?
Yeah. Y'all know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, but yes, him. He's
the only black kid on street.
He's the only black kid. But yeah, he's my pick.
He would be. Yeah, I can see him
I
doing
didn't even
that.
think about that. Yeah.
And I would say Shameik Moore too, but I think he's a little bit too old now.
Yeah.
Like going off.
He's got
look,
miles.
I was like,
Yeah.
I could see them going with Leon Thomas. He was on like Victorious and iCarly and everything. Like he has the look, for it. But I don't know. It's like acting wise,
Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson.
Yep.
She's probably auditioning since she believes that anyone and anybody, if you're an actor, can play whatever role. So, when she gets announced for the Martin Luther King biopic,
The live action remake of My Friend Martin.
She's gonna be down with that new Black Panther reboot playing Huey Newton.
when Nickelodeon does the Cousin Skeeter movie, she doesn't want to just be the voice. She wants to actually be Cousin Skeeter. Like.
I heard she played Wheezy in the Jefferson remake.
Oh, Scarlett Johansson. Yeah, all right, but that's a good pick for Static Shock. Leon Thomas, Jaden Smith, Scarlett Johansson. Who else did we say so far?
What, Stranger
Caleb.
Things?
Caleb, yeah,
Yep.
from Stranger Things.
I just don't. They haven't announced if this is gonna be part of like the DCU yet, or if it's gonna be like, because they're saying it's like the Outlier Society, and I'm like, is this its own like African American like cinematic universe, or is this like?
I say they make it a part of the DCU, but just keep like the Outlier, like those movies focus on the black superheroes of DC. You know what I mean? So I say still make it a part of it, but just this is like its own. Just production, I guess.
Gotcha. Kind of like how like Sony like kind of like gets into the MCU a little bit. They can have their own thing. That would be dope. Because I do want to see. I mean, at this point, might as well have them all together. Like,
Yeah. Because like I said, because I think we was talking about this before. I forget what I was talking about. But we were talking about like the Batman movie and like how like the recent like pictures showed like someone dressed as like Superman. But it's kind of like just an Easter egg that hint that like these characters exist in that universe. And like I don't want to see what they did with Batman with Static Shock. Like there's other people in this universe, but we only ever see them. Like, because we've had a lot of Batman movies for years, but only up until Ben Affleck came around, like we seen him interact with other DC superheroes for the first time. So I think they should kind of just keep that route, right now. Like, just it's a whole universe. There's millions of characters. They all in the same general area half the time. Like, I don't see why we shouldn't have them cross over. Or
For at least a cameo, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I would like them to have that, because even in the Static Shock cartoon, you had the Batman, crossover episode. So
even if it was
bring it
simple,
live
like
action.
like with Shazam,
Yeah.
like it was just like a little
even
little
if
hint
it's the
of that,
Flash just running real quick. Like,
there he is.
Did you catch it real quick?
Green Lantern's getting a venti latte from fucking Starbucks.
Doesn't have a line or anything. You just see him. Thanks. Walk out.
Like
That's
the
it.
Deadpool movie with the X-Men in the background.
Yeah.
Just look like,
exactly.
hey, later.
Just to acknowledge like those people exist in this universe.
Yeah.
So, what else going on? Should we just go straight to some spooky stuff?
Let's
On
do it.
our Halloween.
Do it.
So there was a list put out. The scariest horror movies of all time. Who conducted this study?
It was some organization that they studied 50 people and they had them watch, I think, over 100 hours of horror movies, and they linked them up to
strap them down.
Yeah, Clockwork Orange style, and they took their heart rate and they looked for the increases in heart rate while watching all of the movies and considered that to be a person's fear factor, and then they made the list of which movies increased the heart rate the most and labeled it as the scariest movies of all time.
Were these all like in like a recent span? Because honestly, if you're watching scary movies all this time, and then by the time you get to the end, you're probably just like, yeah, this isn't scary.
I mean, well, all the movies on these lists are all recent, like the past decade.
There's some older ones further down the list, like Nightmare on Elm Street and The Exorcist got on there, but they weren't in the top 10.
So The top 10. We'll start with number 10. Was The Visit. Did y'all see The Visit?
That's the one with the old people, right?
Yeah, the M. Night Shyamalan one.
Yeah,
Shyamalan.
suspenseful,
But not
scary though. Like it was like what's the tale that is based off the old children's
Hansel and Gretel.
Yes, it was based off that. I thought it was a good movie. I thought the twist at the end, wasn't bad. I don't want to spoil it if y'all don't.
I haven't seen
unless
it.
y'all don't plan on watching.
I don't plan on watching, but I didn't see it.
But I don't know. In case y'all plan on watching, I won't say what the spoiler is.
OJ really did it. That's the spoiler.
Was this after Split? Was this like during like his resurgence,
so,
M. Night Shyamalan's
yeah.
resurgence? Yeah, so I think so. I mean,
Either
like I said,
right after or right before.
like I said, it was very suspenseful. It kind of keeps you on edge, but I guess these were like the biggest bitches they could find, and
I mean, looking at this list, they really got some scary ass people. I'm like, really?
I'm pretty sure anything behind The Visit was better. So like number 9, I didn't even see this one, was The Descent.
You never saw The
You
Descent?
never saw
I
The
never saw The
Descent?
Descent.
Okay,
Descent's
now
a great movie.
that was actually a really good horror film. It really is a good horror film, especially. Okay, I can see that being on the list, especially if you're a person that's extremely claustrophobic, because the whole movie takes place in the cave, because it's all about these cave divers that go down there, like this group of women who are friends. They were like college friends, and they go cave diving or splunking, whatever you want to call it, and they encountered these like subterranean creatures. And it's actually really, really good, very gory, very scary. So this deserves to be on the list. I don't think it deserves to be number 9, but it
Underrated
does
horror movie.
Very underrated.
From what it sounds like still a little scarier than The Visit, though.
It's a lot scarier than the Visit. They're not even in the same sport, okay? We get the same league.
The Descent. And then at number 8, coming in swinging, we have The Babadook, which I love this movie.
I love that movie.
I love
too.
that movie.
I don't think the Babadook is that scary, but it's really unsettling.
I like its little undertones and like the allegory. I love that about it. That was my favorite thing about it.
That's one of those movies that like it just like has like really long scenes that make you really uncomfortable. Like it's not scary, but you're just like squirming in your seat because it's just like, I don't want to be watching this.
But I don't remember like being like on edge or like having a lot of jump scares to it. Not that that's what makes a movie scary, but if this is how they're doing their research based off like heart rate. Again, like I love The Babadook, but I didn't think it was a movie that gets my heart racing like that.
These people have heart conditions? Like, what is going on?
That's what I'm saying. Were these people like 75 or something like that?
They have like irregular heartbeats. They have like high blood pressure. What is going on with this list? Who are these people? Who is this focus group?
Yeah, I definitely feel you. Even thinking about it now, I feel like when I was moving my back is like, oh god, this is just so long. It's not even like it's scary, but it's still
like Murdo was saying, like uncomfortable. Watching the scenes kind of draw, but nothing that will make my heart like race. Now, The Conjuring 2, I can understand.
I actually like that movie.
Yeah, that had a lot of moments where even I pissed my pants.
Yeah, I was scared too.
At some moments.
I need to rewatch that movie because I watched it the first time with so much hype and I felt disappointed. And I feel like
I love The Conjuring.
it took me so long to watch it because I really loved The Conjuring 1, and then like I finally saw The Conjuring 2 like maybe a couple months ago, and I like had a drink with me, and I was like, all right, let's get this down, and I just felt a little disappointed, but I feel like I need to rewatch it. I think I went into it with like too high expectations.
Maybe I would rewatch it. I have rewatched it a few times. Like I said, I really enjoyed Conjuring 2.
I liked it
if
too.
I was sitting there strapped up to the chair and they monitor my heart, I think the part that would have got me the most is when like he's in the room with the painting of the nun, because it's like where she was introduced, and it's like all the way in the back where there's no lighting, and you kind of just see like the eyes and like the teeth a little bit, like as if it was the damn cat from Alice in Wonderland. And then it just starts moving like slowly towards it, and then like she actually comes out of painting. Like I thought that was like definitely one of the scariest moments, and like it has stuff like that going on. Like it's very, very creepy, so I can see why it definitely made the list. Now the movie that's ahead of it, I sort of agree, but I do. But I didn't find it. Again, I didn't find it like heart jumping scary like that. Which was It Follows. It Follows comes in at number 6.
I love that movie.
It is a beautiful movie. Another, it's like The Babadook. Like it has a little allegory to it. Because I think I was trying to talk about like something like that, like later on. Because like when you think of like the list of like stuff, how to beat certain killers or entities in horror movies, the It Follows one is like probably the toughest one to do.
Yeah.
Because the whole premise with that movie is basically an STD, like basically. They need to play this in high schools, like instead of like having these little safe sex talks and all that shit. Just play It Follows. They will understand completely, like about who
Wrap it up.
But it's like even wrapping it up. You don't want to have kids to have sex. Just show them this movie because it's just no matter what you do, if you have sex with somebody,
you're screwed.
You're screwed. The only way to pass it on is to have sex with somebody else. But then if that person gets killed by the entity, it traces back, it goes back down the chain. So now it starts chasing you until it kills you, and then it goes back to the person who gave it to you, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so on.
That one had like one of the coolest like concepts that was so original.
Yeah.
When I knew nothing about it, and when I went in,
I don't know, man. It sounds like a Christian wrote this film. Like this.
Well, they wrote a good ass movie.
That sounds like some Christian Deo like propaganda. Like this is what happens when you have premarital sex. You die. You're like, damn. I thought I'd just get burnt. Like what the hell?
Get followed by
VD that dangerous? Yeah. Jesus.
There's a lot of like iconic scenes in that movie. Like when my favorite one is when she thinks she's good in her room, and then like this really tall ass dude like swoops in,
comes in.
Yeah.
Like
that
even
shit
has
made
to
me
duck
jump.
like to get in. Like,
It's
that's
like
how tall he was.
it's like the tall guy from the Haunted Hill House. That tall dude that was just wouldn't even walk, and he was just gliding.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, he must have got some. What, you got some skates on? Doing the James Brown across the floor? What's happening?
But yeah, that I was gonna say that's the moment that spooked me the most. Like I could see why someone would be jumping her. And then someone like even like this, like it'll get your nerves up. Like one of the girls that got killed, like you don't see it happen. It happens off screen. But when they find her body, I think she's like on a beach or something like that, and like the way her leg is like bent, like it's kind of like snapped off of the bone, but it's like bent, like going towards her, like this way. And I'm just like, oof, like it looked brutal. Like I don't know what she did, but the entity really had it out for her. Like no one else really got killed like that, like the way she did. I'm just like, God
Maybe
damn.
she had an extreme orgasm or something. I don't know.
She enjoyed it a little too much. Okay, so then at number 5 we got Paranormal Activity.
The OG one.
Well, OG, the original.
Screw that movie, okay? That movie. Let me tell you something. This movie had so much hype, okay? And everybody, I think even you was telling me, you was like, man, you gonna keep the lights on. I went and saw this bullshit.
It was a good ass movie.
I went and saw this BS, and I was like, okay, you mean to tell me I could have made this myself? Got an iPhone and slammed some doors? Oh hell no! And then the premise was stupid. It's like, okay, they're being haunted by this demon ghost. You know what? Here's the solution. Move. That's it.
You didn't. Someone didn't pay attention to the movie.
Someone didn't pay attention.
You watched it with the volume down.
On his phone.
Listen,
See, moving wasn't the solution. It's been following her since she was exactly. See,
I did watch it on bootleg.
Following her since she was a kid. You know.
Well, then divorce her ass.
Because the kid, you know, was coming like the newborn, and that's when it was most active because it was trying to take the firstborn family.
Listen.
You would know that if you actually pay attention to the movie, but you didn't.
Listen,
we saw it in theaters, right? And
Yeah,
then
we seen
even-
it in theaters,
movie
which
was
was a
made it
much better
scarier.
experience.
The
Yeah.
movie was still trash. And here's the thing. She still he could have like listen, if you dating somebody, just ask him like, listen, are you haunted by an evil spirit? Yes, okay, then we can't date. Sorry. It's not gonna happen. You ain't
man.
messing up my life.
Yeah, and then the thing that made it scary because we saw it in the theater. We went to New York and we had the long line, so people were like talking about when they're leaving, and they're like
They were hyping it up.
Yeah, they were hyping it up even more. So, but I think it was like the first movie where it's like you're in a modern environment, like the safest neighborhood you could be in, the safest situation you could be in, and then it's still something.
Exactly.
So
and like I
that
said,
adds to the
this movie is very, very, very suspenseful. Like even when nothing really happens on some of them nights, it's like because you're sitting there watching it so quiet, your nerves like get up and you're just waiting for something to happen, and either something does happen or something doesn't. And when it does, it kind of catches you off guard. So I can see why this movie made it on the list like that for moments like that.
A little off topic, but Paranormal Activity 3 also underrated because of when they had the camera on the oscillating fan.
Oh yeah.
That was such a cool little.
And like everyone in the theater
tense
was like,
thing.
I remember watching that one in the theater too, and people were doing like these nervous laughs like every time it kept going because like you're waiting for something to happen. You know what's going to, but you don't know when because just the camera just keeps going like
that.
that.
It's that build up.
Yeah.
And that's what this movie has a lot of, like, and that's what made the first few films great, because they really that's what they knew what made the audience, like, you know, interested and scared, and, you know, got their, you know, heart racing and all that stuff. And
Did you see the last one?
I seen the last one. I think, was that the Ghost Dimension?
How many are there in total?
6.
Like 5 or 6.
Okay,
Oh, there was the spin-off, the Spanish one too. I forgot.
I think that's was that the marked ones? I think that's
Yeah.
yes, that's the marked ones. That was a good one. The marked ones was a good one. That was a good one. It was Ghost Dimension that I really didn't like at all. Like, it was so boring. It was so stupid. Like, I don't even think it does anything for, like, the actual story. Like, everything else was still relative to the actual plot that they kind of set up in, like, the first 2 movies. Mark Ones was kind of its own separate thing, but still good. And then Ghost Dimension, I think it tried to do the same thing, but it was just trash. But I think they're doing another one. I think there's another Paranormal Activity coming out, but I don't know if it's a reboot or if it's connected to the original. I forget. I just seen the headline, but I guess I'm so burnt out from so many Paranormal Activities. When it comes out, it comes out. Number 4 on this list is Hereditary.
That's my favorite horror movie of the last 10 years.
It's really good.
I really
movie.
love that movie.
It's a good film. I don't think it's like I don't think it's like something that will like scare me, but it's actually a really good film. I would have put, in my opinion, Midsommar over Hereditary, only because the way Midsommar was filmed.
Midsommar was creepy.
Yeah, it was a horror film that was literally shot in broad daylight.
Yeah.
And it worked. It was just like I forget the director's name.
Ari Aster.
Yeah, Ari Aster was just like, okay, I'm gonna take this trope and I'm just gonna flip it inside out. And even he did that with Hereditary too. Mm-hmm. He took the trope and flipped it inside out, because essentially, and it's so messed up when you really watch that film. You're like, okay, this family is going through it because of the sins of the.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing as in Paranormal Activity. The grandma from way back decided to make a stupid deal
with the devil,
and now it's coming back.
Grandma had to win that lottery.
I'm coming back to get what I want. You know?
The last, like, because the movie is it's like the Babadook, where it's like really uncomfortable for the first like hour, and then the last like 25 minutes just goes like batshit off the wall, like horror crazy.
Yeah. I think Toni Collette's performance is very bone chilling. Like that is enough.
Should have won the Oscar that year.
Yeah, like her performance in there was amazing. Like, you know, I love her acting in this movie. But the movie was great in general. Like I don't, like, you know what, it's one of those movies where even in the preview, like, they kind of make it seem like the daughter was kind of like in the entire movie.
Yeah.
You know, the way it was. And then when you see what happens to her, I'm like, oh shit.
Okay,
you know.
I feel terrible, but because it caught me off guard when it happened.
It caught everyone off guard. We all there like, damn.
Really?
Is this the end of the movie?
I felt bad, but I laughed my ass off. I'm sorry, it's messed up, but ding. I was like, oh damn.
So
that was had a lot of like creepy ass moments. Like, I remember I
was sitting down watching that movie for the first time in my room by myself, and when the scene happened with the daughter, like I can't remember the last time I stood up out of my chair and went, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like
got they block knocked off.
Yeah.
Literally
for real.
Like rock'em sock'em.
Even to see where Toni Collette, like, she's like aggressively banging her head on like the wall, I think, like that.
Yeah,
like,
at the end.
Creepy ass stuff like that.
I was like, somebody gonna need some Tylenol or some aspirin or Advil.
And then like she's like sawing her head off when she's like floating up in the air. Like, creep. Like, this movie probably should have been a little bit higher. But number 4, I'm not mad at, because the moments like that.
It's
like,
in the
they
top
had
5.
So many. Like, it was such a great horror movie. Yeah, you seen it?
I did.
You liked it?
I don't remember it, but I remember liking it.
Tried to block it out.
I remember liking the movie though.
You got scarred.
I was a little scared. I can't.
Your pupils are dilating right now. Your eyes are watering. You're a little shaking. Yeah, I saw the movie.
And then number 3, we have the first Conjuring.
I love that
the
movie.
first
Love that movie.
Another one had a lot. That movie made me jump a lot, like, too. Had a lot of like good
That was one of the
jump scares and setups. And
the only movies that was rated R just because it was like that scary. Like, it didn't really have that much blood
there
in
was
it.
no blood or gore or anything like that.
But the MPAA was like, nope, teenagers can't see this. Like,
tell a man up.
I was, before it came out, I was hyped to see it because I'm a horror movie guy, and I went to the panel. the year before at New York Comic Con. So I got to see the trailer and some exclusive clips, and I was like, oh, I'm game for this film.
That's when they showed the clap scene.
Yep,
right?
they did the clap scene, which that actually kind of freaked me out. One scene that freaked me out in there, and it wasn't even like a big scene, but it was just the way they did it. It was when the daughter was Joey King. Joey King was in the bed, and then like she keeps thinking that her sister's messing with her. Her sister's sleeping, and all of a sudden you just see the ghost just grabs her by an ankle and just yanks her. And I was like, oh crap, okay, this ghost is angry.
Yeah, it was a very aggressive ghost, because even in one scene, like I think one of the oldest sisters, she got like flung across like the living room.
Yeah, I remember that.
At one point.
And even the mother, when she was possessed, she was upside down on the chair, like is she gonna fall and break her neck?
Yeah.
But yeah, and also I think what makes it even scarier too with The Conjuring 2 and Annabelle and that whole universe is that it's based off of real events from Ed and Lorraine Warren, who were real life ghost hunters. And
real life scam
artists, really, yeah. They were like the biggest scam artists. Like, here's the thing, I remember because we know what Annabelle looks like, but the real Annabelle is a Raggedy Ann doll, and I was like, really?
Yep.
Really? You probably won that at the fair, and like, yep, this is haunted, and put it in the glass.
Going around like catching on. You heard that? That's something paranormal. You got to get out of the house. Really? Yeah. Pay us $500.
Yeah. You see this? You see your picture? Yeah. Paranormal activity right there.
Although they just like they go in, they see someone got a cross, hanging on there. What's that over there? You see that? I think it's something moving over there, huh? Flipping over. Look.
Oh, they tell say, what is that? What people look? You see that? They slingshot in the pictures.
Real life scam artists. Ooh, that's the scariest thing about the Conjuring.
That people believe that nonsense. Like, yeah, no, you're haunted. No, you're schizophrenic. Yeah. You need professional help.
But what's really haunted is the movie that's in the number 2 spot, which is very scary. It's the best one out of all the Insidious movies. I think there was 4 of them. It was the first Insidious 1, which that movie is absolutely creepy. Like that movie makes me jump a lot, especially with creepy ass Darth Maul listening to his Tiny Tim records and shit like that.
And the Tiny Tim seeing himself when he's just running around the chair.
I'm like, that shit is scary in its own. Like, shit, I can see why people say that.
Oh, that's the where the guy was behind.
Yeah, Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Darth Maul.
The first Darth reveal Maul with him.
Angry. He like a militant Darth Maul. This is a angry black militant Darth Maul.
The scene that I know I got scared the most, definitely. I think because they had the baby, right, and I think he was it was in with the kid, the baby's room, and it was like this dude, like she goes out and then she comes back in and she sees the dude outside of the window, like I don't know, you can't really see his face, it's like kind of like all white, but it's just scary as hell the way it happens. Like she comes back in the room and then bam, it's like this dude standing over her kid, like right there in the window. Like his moments like that is what made this movie so great. Like it had, like, to me, like I said, it had a lot of good ass jump scares in there, for me. So
that's James Wan, yo. He's that in The Conjuring. He's on fire.
James Wan is a great director.
He's a great director, and
he understands suspense.
Oh yeah, you ever see Dead Silence?
I love that movie.
Oh, underrated film.
I love that movie.
Underrated film.
I agree.
I'm pretty sure that made it on the list somewhere, just not
probably.
top 10.
Insidious was also another one of those movies that I love so much because of the concept. Where I know a lot of people fell off of Insidious in the second half when you find out like what it is, but I had never seen a horror movie deal with astral projection before, and I thought that was so original and cool that I was just like completely on board for the second half. Where I was like, I've never seen this before. In a horror movie.
This is completely original, So, then number 1 on this list is your boy, Mr. Boogie, aka the Bagul in the hit movie Sinister. Which made me piss my pants in the theater a few times. Yeah. Because he would do like these weird things. Like he would go in front of the camera like that. Just jump scare. Like it caught all of us. I remember all of us being in the theater like when we seen that. But it had like moments like that. But I don't know if it was enough that it was scarier than like the 3 movies behind it. Like Insidious, Conjuring, Hereditary. I would still put these movies together, but I wouldn't say Sinister was more scary than those ones.
Did Sinister have more jump scares?
I don't think it had more jump scares than Insidious and
No,
Conjuring.
I don't think it did.
No.
I think this is my opinion why I think it was number one is because it doesn't have a happy ending.
I think that, but I can see why, because the scariest things about the movie is the tapes that they keep finding.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the
So
soft
I think
tapes.
it was stuff like that.
The imaging that you saw.
Because there's like one scene where you see like it's like a first person view of someone like pushing a lawnmower and you're waiting for something to happen, and then you just see it like run over some dude's face, real quick, so it was things like that, and the family like getting hung from the tree. Like it's very like it's a mix of like jump scares and very uncomfortable moments like that, and plus Bagul just literally coming at the screen like that. So I can see why. I could see why. Even if I don't agree necessarily, I can completely understand why the group or whoever they tested this with, almost died watching Sinister.
Had to clean up the movie theater afterwards.
A lot of vomit and dookie everywhere.
I don't know, but is there any movies y'all could think of that y'all would put in this top 10, or any of these movies would you take out of the top 10?
Put or take out both.
Either both with movies that you would put in instead of some of these, or any of these you would take out
That are like the scariest of all
that you
time.
think you think is scarier than.
I'm surprised
from
Bob
this.
Duke is up there.
I'm surprised too.
I
Like I
agree.
said, it didn't really have moments like that where it was scary. It was good, but I wouldn't say it was like anything frightening
I
like
think
that.
for me, if I had to add something, I guess it's a personal one for me. I'm dating myself, but I would say the first Candyman, because I don't scare easily. I love horror films, but Candyman was the first film that got me as a kid, and I think that was because Candyman kind of came at a time, it was like the exclamation point of that era of the slasher era in the 80s, and during that time when there was that whole slasher craze, like Freddy got funnier, Chucky got funnier, even though Jason and Michael Myers was still very serious, the kills got a little more cartoony, and so it was kind of like, it still wasn't scary enough, it was more entertainment horror. But Candyman, if you watch that film, there was no kind of like humor or anything in there, and I think that's what caught me off guard as a kid when I seen it. I was like, oh no, this guy, he's crazy. And he's wild, and plus he was like terrorizing black people in the projects, which made no sense to me. I was like, oh, a white guy must have wrote this film because he is terrorizing the wrong people. But that's just me.
Any y'all got any choices? Anything y'all would take out? Anything y'all would put in? Or just
maybe for me top 10 because Dead Silence was the first horror movie I've ever seen as a kid.
okay?
Maybe it isn't as scary as the other, but since it was the first one that I saw, it really creeped me out a lot.
I would replace the Babadook with Dead Silence. Like if I were to look at this as I would put that instead of the Babadook.
Yeah,
in the
because
top
that Mary
10.
Shaw ghost scared me. All those dolls scared me. It was just creepy, and the town was completely empty.
I would take out Paranormal Activities and put that and Dead Silence in there because
Yeah.
that whole atmosphere was creepy. Because
It was.
Watching that film, I was like, nobody lives in this town. What is happening? Like when he went back home, he didn't even question it. I'd have been like, what the hell happened here? I don't think I went into this.
And then the plot twist with his dad being the doll, that actually creeped me out.
I kind of figured something was going on because when you watch that film again, you're like, yeah, he don't look right.
Yeah, once you know it happens, but in the moment you're not paying attention to it.
Right.
When you're seeing it the first time, so it's like, wow, that came out of nowhere. But when you see it over again, you're like, wow, how did I pick this up?
I would put, like, if me personally, and it's not like it's full with like a lot of jump scares, but because it's so weird and like very kind of like violent, I would put Evil Dead in here.
The original.
I would especially like out of Paranormal and Babadook.
The original? Or
Yeah, the
okay,
original.
okay.
The original.
Yeah,
The original.
I
I would put that in there, at least personally for me.
And I think that's another thing where you were saying that like so many of these movies are newer ones because I feel like a lot of older movies might not age too well with like modern things. So you got to think of like when The Exorcist came out, like people were passing out in the theater, and like I feel like nowadays
That movie's still hella creepy.
Yeah,
like,
no,
surprising,
it is.
like,
Yeah,
that's not,
it
that's
held
not
up
in the
well,
top 10.
but that surprised me too.
My dad's a child of 70. My dad saw that in theaters, and he said that they had, when he saw it in New York, they had to stop the movie because some guy freaked out because he was dropping acid and watching The Exorcist, and he freaked out, and they had to like stop the movie, Get him out of there.
That's actually
Like, that is the wrong movie to be dropping acid to, pal. You should have went and saw, like, I don't know, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid or something and dropped acid. That probably would have made it better.
I have a question for you guys though. Do you guys consider like Get Out a horror film? And if so, where would you place this around?
I
Get Out was on the list.
Yeah.
It was
It was
much
on the
higher up. Yeah,
would-
but I know that's a debate where people were saying that Get Out's not really a horror. It's more
Yeah,
of a
I've seen that
psychological
argument, too.
thriller.
That's a
White
horror.
people are terrifying, bro. Don't tell me you get out.
White people are the most terrifying people. They're more terrifying than this guy, okay? I would rather go up against this guy than the police. That's just...
Yeah, that's why I thought I'd ask because that is a true debate that's going around. I consider it a horror movie though.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Because we black, that's why.
I mean,
That's,
the whole concept is scary in its own. Like they're taking,
People's
features and body parts of like, African Americans and putting them into their own families just for their own personal gain. Like they want his eyes and it's that shit
Yeah,
like
that's
that is
creepy.
scary on its own. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be filled with like. I think a movie doesn't have to be filled with jump scares to make it scary.
I
You know what I
agree.
mean? That's why I like The Evil Dead so much. It's just it's a scary situation, but it's not necessarily filled with like stuff that's like just making you jump the whole time. Like I'm just seeing that crazy ass demonic girl like possessed and everything under the floorboards, trapped in the basement. Like that shit is fucking terrifying right then and there. Like
taunting everybody.
yeah, like shit
And
like that.
I'm not a fan of jump scares because I think they're so lazy in horror movies, and I think that like that's why I like James
Yeah.
Wan because I feel like he does like tension really well, and a lot of these movies don't rely too heavily on jump scares.
Because I think over time, especially with the newer, with 2000s and 2010 horror movies, they don't use they force jump scares so much because I think that they think that's what the audience is gonna believe to make a movie scary, is just to keep making them jump. And all the jump scares, by the time the killer shows up or anything's supposed to be scary, the effect wore off because all the best jump scares you used on stupid people and like red herrings and like cats and all goofy stuff. It's like just some goofy friend. Like they waste so many jump scares on unimportant characters, but by the time someone actually scary that you're supposed to be afraid of shows up, you're not scared anymore because you already used all these jump scares on stupid stuff. So I think they need to just stop doing that. Like a good example, like I was watching Halloween, like the first one for like the 20 millionth time again, and there's like one scene with Loomis and one of the police, and he's like he's waiting outside the Myers house. He sees like the kids going up to the house and he scares them away, and the cop creeps up on him and just like taps him on his shoulder, and he's like jumps and everything, but they don't use no sound effect or nothing. Like Loomis is the only one scared. They don't make the audience scared, they just make him scared. You know what I mean? And stuff, they need to do stuff like that. Save the actual sound effects and jump scares for the actual killer, like what I
agree.
mean, not
agree,
on
too.
unimportant stuff like this regular cop, like
Exactly. I hate when
side
they do that.
character.
Well, I think what happened, I think it started with the first Scream. Because I remember I saw that in the theaters, and that movie had everybody jumping in there. And I think after that, like after the first couple Scream movies, I felt like Hollywood filmmakers that did horror kind of relied on the jump scare too much. To me, it's kind of like a lazy way out in a way. It's like, okay, put a jump scare that's gonna scare. It's like, okay, it's scary for that moment, but something that's scary is something that lasts long with you. Like if
You're not gonna go on a car ride home and be like, "Oh, remember that scene where the cat jumped on the boombox? That was the scariest." And then the music was real.
and it just startled me. I was just walking in with the popcorn and it went everywhere. It scared the hell out of me.
What a good movie.
Now it's harder too because you need some jump scares. So when you put a trailer out, you have people in the audience going like this.
but-
And now they gotta use it for
like I
advertising.
said, you exactly. You can make stuff look creepy and scary. Like jump scares are not what makes something scary. You know what I mean? Situations and characters, creepiness, atmosphere is what you do to create, something scary, a good horror movie. Not just jump scares. Even if you want to put all the jump scares in the preview, go ahead. You could still, based off all those other elements, you can still make a scary movie, with those alone. It doesn't have to rely on the jump scares. That's the thing. These newer movies, like they rely on it, and I'm like, it's not what makes something scary.
Listen, I'm writing a movie right now. I'm very, very excited about, and it's called Jump Scare. That's literally what it's called. Jump Scare. Here's a twist. What's the twist?
Oh man! But on a lighter note, how about some kids horror?
Yeah.
Kids horror. Y'all into those? Did y'all ever, and not just like the TV shows. There's been like a lot of movies, especially animated ones, like Coraline.
Coraline, I really enjoyed that film. I really enjoyed it.
I couldn't imagine seeing that as a kid. Like, when I was a kid, Nightmare Before Christmas terrified me, and I couldn't watch it. And then obviously Coraline came out when I was much older, and I saw it, and I was like, "Oh, this is a really good movie." But like, if I saw that, I would have the same reaction as I did when I saw Nightmare Before Christmas.
I felt like that about Believe It or Not, and if you really watch it, it's not scary. But man, the monster that they have in this kids film is pretty effing spectacular. That is Ernest Scare Stupid.
My favorite.
The
troll?
The troll?
Yeah.
Like, that was a really scary troll. He had like two noses, and he had boogies, and
he had like these little feelers sticking out. And
and then he was kidnapping the kids and turning them into wooden dolls. And then when he went into Super Troll at the end, like, he had all this stuff grow out, and I was like, is this a kid film? What is happening right now?
I was reading, apparently they like, like at the final scene with all the other trolls, they used like a bunch of like the outfits and models from Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and kind of like redecorated them because they look exactly like them. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. But
reduce, reuse, recycle, man.
Hey, repurpose it.
They did that for From Dusk Till Dawn. They used a lot of like props and stuff from Tales from the Hood.
Did they?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Ernest Scare Stupid. Y'all ever seen?
Movies.
Probably the greatest.
I haven't seen it. I've seen it so long
ago. Have you seen any Ernest movie?
I feel like it.
You see any Ernest films?
Ernest Goes to Africa. Ernest Goes to Camp. Ernest Saves Christmas.
Ernest Goes to Jail.
Ernest Rides Again. Slam Dunk Ernest.
Ernest Goes to Camp.
Yeah. Ernest did a lot. He did a lot. But Ernest Scared Stupid is the best one in my opinion. I would definitely watch that.
Even the jokes in there are funny. I think my favorite scene is when he's in a convenience store and he was buying like snacks, and then the clerk sees the troll in the back, and he was just like he's like, he's playing charades. I love charades. And he's like, T for two for T. He pulls out the gun. Like, that scene was hilarious.
Yeah, like pretty much everyone knows this thing is going on, like, but him, and he's the one that pretty much brought the trolls, to the town they were living in. Well, he awakened them, and this dude kind of just summoned like the rest of them. But it's like I said, fantastic movie. It's very funny. It ain't like scary. Ain't nothing you're gonna, want to turn the lights on for. So, I don't think it's one of those. But it's a great movie.
The one movie I forgot the name, but I'm sure I could name it by the description. They look like Furbies, but they multiply. Is that
Gremlins?
Gremlins. Yeah. Is that a kid movie?
That was the first
really
PG-13 movie.
One of them is like cute, but
I love the first
like Gizmo's adorable, but I wouldn't necessarily qualify it as a kids movie. Look at him.
But no, the first Gremlin, it's like it is a dark comedy, but the first Gremlin was way more scarier than the second one. The second one was very campy, very campy. You could tell they were trying to sell toys, but the first one was like there's two particular scenes that were kind of creepy. The one scene when the mother was in the kitchen, and you can hear the Gremlins messing with her, and then she like blends one of them. And then the other scene is at the very end where the lead character is in the sporting goods store and he's being stalked by Spike. So it definitely had a lot of comedic moments, but it was some definitely creepy moments. Like there was another scene that comes to mind, the scene with in the lab with the science teacher. That was another suspenseful scene in that film. But the Gremlins 2 kind of got...
I wouldn't say... Like, Gremlins 2, if you want to consider that a kid's movie because of how goofy they got. Sure, but the first one, nah, I wouldn't say...
I just always think of the Gremlin that turned into the gargoyle, like at the end.
Oh, well, my favorite is the Gremlin that flashes everybody. That guy is amazing. He came back in part 2 and started flashing.
The Batman one, too. That was in there. Left the bat signal.
Oh, the one that talked. He was my favorite. Civilized. And he shot the one Gremlin with a gun. That was funny. Did he just blow his brains with that?
Like I said, Gremlins 2, kids movie. Gremlins 1, I wouldn't say kids horror.
I remember being more scared of E.T. before that one for some reason. Because that was when I was very young.
E.T. was a sweetheart.
Yeah. I don't even remember.
That finger. I mean.
The finger.
What other?
I was obsessed with Goosebumps when I was a kid.
Yes,
I
Goosebumps was
had
the shit.
so many books. I had the VHSs and was obsessed with the TV show.
That's how I got into it. The books, like I used to, like that's the only thing that kept me reading as a kid. Like I feel like that's how I learned how to read. Yeah, just constantly reading the books. That's all I ever wanted from the bookstore.
I don't know about you, but for me, that's what got me into the horror movies and horror genre as a kid.
I want to say the same thing because like now I'm thinking about it, like damn, like I said, I had mountains of Goosebumps books. Like it's all I ever wanted to read, you know, and that probably that was the gateway into horror probably for me also.
What was your favorite book or episode?
Book, Night of the Living Dummy. Episode, The Haunted Mask.
Nice.
Haunted Mask is a classic.
Yes.
And that was the first one. That was when I
the
kicked
first
it off.
one. Yeah, that was the best one. I thought, like that story in itself, like even you like it's like out of all the episodes, like that, a lot of them are kind of like very cheesy, like corny, but it's still enjoyable for what it is. But like the first episode when they did The Haunted Mask, like is genuinely terrifying. Even the actress, like she does a great job, you know, in there, like you know. They could have just made this whole thing, you know, using just her how good she did. But yeah, like I said, this is generally creepy. Like so the story with this one was this girl, she gets bullied and picked on a lot, you know, she's very gullible. She has these two kids that's always like constantly scaring her. So now Halloween comes up and she wants to get back at them. She's tired of always being the one being, you know, picked on and getting scared all the time. So she wants to scare them. So she goes to this weird Halloween shop that's on like the opposite end of town, like that's literally just sitting like by itself. It looks like a place you would not want to go in.
Like it just popped up out of nowhere.
Yeah, literally. And so she goes in there, she's looking for a mask. She goes in the back, she sees all these, you know, effed up looking masks, and she's like, I want this one. And he's like, no, these are the pretty much the unforbidden masks, because these used to be like actual human faces and stuff like that.
But I keep them on display.
Yeah, exactly. Just in case anyone was wondering, you know, here they are. But she snatches the mask, throws him some money, you know, takes off, and she puts on the mask. She loves it. But the longer she wears the mask, the more it bonds to her and gets stuck to her. She gets to the point where she can't even take the mask off. Like it's like starting to form like around her skin and everything. And then it starts changing her personality. Now she's going around being like an asshole to like all these kids trick-or-treating, stealing their candy and all this nonsense like that. But you know, and then eventually, you know, a little cheesy little plot, you know, through love and all that stuff, she's able to take the mask off. But even before all of that, it was still a really good, creepy ass episode. Definitely one of the best.
You said for the book, but Slappy from Night of the Living Dummy used to give me nightmares as a kid, and I tried to overcome my own fear by being Slappy one year for Halloween, where I was like,
I gotta see the picture.
That is the most Batman thing I've ever heard.
I gotta see the picture.
Imagine you just became a ventriloquist like superhero or something like that. Like,
yes, Father, I shall become the dummy. But yeah, the Night of the Living Dummy used to just terrify me. Dummies are scary, and
like,
then especially for kids, like.
Because what used to scare me was just the cover of the book itself. Like if you look on the cover of the first Night of the Living Dummy, like it's very scary looking. It's like that, just the cover alone, like that would appear in my nightmares.
It's iconic. Like it's an iconic cover too.
Like in the show, they made him a little different. They gave him like red hair, like curly red hair, and all this stuff like that. So I kind of wish they, like the newer movies, he's closer to like his traditional appearance, but.
He's scared me in the show too, though.
Yeah, but he's more creepy in the show than I think he is in the. Because he's kind of just an asshole in the movies. In the Goosebumps movies, he's kind of just a jerk. Yeah. You know, he's not really scary or. I mean, he's still a jerk regardless in how he was. Because he's, like I said, he was always. His thing is doing stuff and then it gets blamed on one kid. It's like, I didn't do it. It was the dummy. He's like, yeah, okay, pal. Yeah, sure.
You're the dummy.
You think I'm a dummy, huh?
Call me the dummy? Huh? Who's the dummy? You!
I think our school had book fairs. So we always had
Scholastic
access
book
to
fairs. Hell yeah. I could smell them right now. Like, they always just had that
the Goosebumps are always the first ones to sell out.
Oh yeah, you would go to school with like $10 at them fairs, you be
ball out.
Ball out.
Yeah, all the Goosebumps and Captain Underpants books. That's
Yo,
that's
Captain
what I used to
Underpants
do.
was mine.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Looking back at a lot of Goosebumps episode now is to see how many like cameos there were and stuff, or like actors like before
Who are
they were
big
known.
now.
Like Hayden Christensen was in Night of the
Yeah.
Living Dummy 3. Adam West was in Attack of the Mutant.
Was what's his name? Handsome Pants. Ryan Gosling. He was, yeah.
Who was he? Which one was he in?
He was in I forget the one with the camera.
Oh,
I
Say
forget
Cheese or Die?
Yeah, Say Cheese or Die. He
That was
in
a good
one.
concept one, too.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Which is
actually
very fucked though. You think about it, like damn.
take a camera to see how you're gonna
How you
die,
gonna die
for a
yeah.
kids show.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like for a kids show, like there's so many like.
That is kind of screwed up.
Scary as hell.
Somebody take a picture, you're like, why is my crotch on fire? I'd say probably my favorite episode. I know we talked about this in one of the episodes, but my favorite is Welcome to Horrorland.
Classic.
That one was good because it did not have a happy ending.
Nah, most of them don't. But this one,
that
was
one had a really
this
effed
was,
up.
If you think about it, it's pretty brutal. Like they got eaten.
They got and then like
died.
even when you watch it, it's like the things that the monsters were doing in Horrorland were effed up. Like there was one scene where they went on this ride. I don't know what possessed these kids to go on this ride, but it was this ride where it was like this coffin ride where you would lie in this coffin, you would go down a river, but then it eventually closed and you would like freak out. So if you're like claustrophobic, you're screwed. And then there was one scene that was gross where it was the parents kind of went off of their own. And it was like this guy, like this monster that was a bartender. And he was like, "Oh, how about a monster punch?" And they're like, "Sure." And then like he's like, "Need something else." And he like pricks his finger and he just like squirts.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Here you go." But I was just kind of like, "Why did they take it?" Like, I'm like, "I don't want that." What the hell is wrong
It's
with
like
you?
one of those things where it's like, wow, the production at this theme park is amazing.
Amazing.
Like,
And even the one scene when the one monster was walking casually with the cat with the head that was talking, it was just like, "Hey, you guys, first time Monsterland, huh? Well, you're gonna have a great time. Shut up." She's like telling him like, "Leave." He's like, "Shut up." It's like, dude, you're carrying a severed head, talking. So I was like, yeah, this is pretty dark for a kid show. That was probably my favorite episode. I'm a
It was
fan
iconic.
of
Yeah.
Slappy.
I actually I went on YouTube the other day because I was thinking about that episode and I was thinking about a computer game that I had of that episode, Welcome to Horrorland Goosebumps game. It was one of the first computer games I ever owned, and it was one of those games that had like live action actors, and I was just like, we're feeling real nostalgic, and I went to watch a couple of the cutscenes, and something I did not realize was Dracula was in that episode, was in the computer game, and he was played by Jeff Goldblum.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So if you have the
That is
chance,
amazing.
look up the Jeff Goldblum Dracula scene from the Welcome to Horrorland computer game.
And you know,
I'm gonna suck your blood.
but the funny thing about that is that the Goosebumps movie, the second one, was supposed to be based off that book, Welcome to
heard
Horrorland.
that, yeah.
And then, but Jack Black didn't sign back on. He went to go do, I think, the sequel to Jumanji or something. So they went with something else, which I was kind of disappointed in because I think it would have made a great film.
He was going with what was gonna make more money.
Yeah, so I can't knock him for it,
Yeah.
but
He's like, wait, another movie with Kevin Hart and The Rock is gonna make how much? Yeah.
yeah.
Is Jumanji considered a horror? No.
Nah.
The first one, not the new one.
It's not considered a horror, but
some
scary ass shit. Like
Turning into a monkey.
Yeah, like imagine a lion fucking was right there in the attic, like
Chilling.
yeah, like what are you gonna do? And those monkeys fucked up the entire town. Like, you know.
Don't matter if you weren't playing the game at that point.
And then
Everyone
you-
had collateral
and then you-
damage.
And then you got some crazy old white man with a musket trying to kill you,
trying
go
to
out
hunt
to
you.
hunt you down.
That yeah, Jumanji's pretty damn scary. Like, what else, George? Because you keep naming movies that are not necessarily kids horror, but they're scary in their own.
I was gonna say
you know.
Bunnicula, the book, but I think it was.
That was the bunny?
Vampire bunny, yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember anything about it, but I remember reading about it.
I
in
remember
second grade.
it was
Yeah.
just popular.
Bunnicula.
I have one. It's not a movie, but it's a show and it's a cartoon. It's based in horror, and that is Courage. The Cowardly Dog.
there was some scary episodes.
There was some
of Courage.
scary. Like if you are a true horror fan, you would really really
A lot
loved
of
that
things was
cartoon
creepy as hell.
and that cartoon. 'Cause
What are
that-
your guys' scariest Courage episodes? Do you remember?
Courage.
There was an episode where I can't remember. It's actually one of the famous episodes. It's with that phantom looking lady.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Are you talking about the Return to Slab one?
Yes.
That was mine too. That
Yes.
one terrified me.
Yes, and the fact that they literally live at a place called a middle of nowhere, and they're in the middle of nowhere, and the concept of the show was pretty cool because it's like you don't really know. It could be like in the middle of nowhere, and like you have all these like ghosts and ghouls and goblins terrorizing this old couple as this dog trying to protect them, but also it could be that whole theory of maybe it's just they're living in a regular world and that's just his perception.
Yeah.
Because he is a coward. So it's kind of like that whole Alfred Hitchcock theory. The third eye right there. So yeah, so I that's another pick of mine's Courage.
Did you have an episode that particularly scared you? as a
I
kid?
can't remember the name, but I just remember like, and I vaguely remember it, but it was like it's this creepy ass dude. He had like this big ass smile, like big ass head. I forget the name.
Not the Freddy Krueger knockoff. There was a Freddy Krueger knockoff, I think. Or base off of, I think.
I know what you're talking about.
Did he
the
talk
giant
a lot?
smile, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did he
yes.
talk a lot?
I can't. That's what I'm saying. I vaguely remember because I was not heavy into like Cartoon Network at the time.
Yeah.
But that shit used to creep me the hell out, and I can't remember. Like if I pull it up, like I'll try to look for it, and then like, but oh man.
Yeah.
The visual I have in my head, I'm like, and that shit alone is very scary. But I can't remember much about the episode at all, just beyond that.
Now I remember the episode about his parents was sad. There was an episode about like his origin and his parents. I don't remember exactly the episode, but it was pretty sad. So it wasn't scary, but it was sad. I don't know. Would you guys consider Ghostbusters
Horror?
The TV show.
Like kids horror?
The kids horror.
Extreme Ghostbusters, it was a little more kids horror, like, but I don't think just Ghostbusters in general. I would say.
It's definitely like flirting with the idea of like,
Well, I will
it's more
agree
of a
with you on
comedy,
Extreme one because there was one episode in Extreme Ghostbusters. I think they were dealing with some monster that was like tapping in all their fears and everything, and I think one of them had a fear of like being in a casket or something.
Claustrophobic.
Yeah, being claustrophobic. So,
But yeah, like I said, more Extreme. I would say it's closer to kids horror, but Ghostbusters in general, I wouldn't classify it as kids horror.
You know what was it? Oh, what was
I'm
it?
sorry.
No, you go for it.
I was gonna say, did any of you guys check out last year's animated Addams Family reboot?
no, but I
see
heard
it,
it was horrible.
They're making
Horrible?
a second one.
I heard it was horrible.
Did you see it?
I did. I thought it was alright. I didn't think it was horrible, but I didn't think it was great either. It definitely wasn't scary. It was catered towards humor for sure and more kids. Like they showed little instances of creepy things.
Yeah, I felt like that's how Addams Family, normally always was. Like it was it's like the idea of
Like
it.
the
is,
characters are supposed to be scary,
but
But they're not.
it's
But
more
they're not,
it's more
yeah.
humorous,
Yeah.
But it still counts because, like I said, even like Coraline has moments like that too, and then other movies like Frankenweenie, there's another one I'm thinking of. It's long as- Paranorman. Yeah, you know what I
Paranorman,
mean?
yeah.
Like,
Monster
it's-
House?
Yeah.
Yep, Monster House. Oh, I have one because I feel like we don't mention this. I feel like in the comments the nerds are gonna rip us to shreds if we don't mention this. Monster Squad. Oh, you've never seen Monster Squad?
I agree.
See, you know what I'm talking about, Vince. We're showing our age right now. We're showing our age. That movie was a classic, Monster Squad. Like it was pretty much the Goonies in a horror world. Like if the Goonies went up against the classic Universal horror guys like Dracula, the Wolfman, the Mummy, Frankenstein. That's what this film was. And it was about a bunch of kids who had this club called the Monster Squad, and real life monsters come to the town and they have to fight them off. They find the amulet that belongs to Van Helsing because Dracula's trying to find it, and then Dracula like puts together like all the Universal horror monsters together like they're the freaking Avengers. Like he comes in and then like all of a sudden the Wolfman comes out of nowhere, and then the creature from the Black Lagoon comes up, and the mummy escapes the museum, and then they awaken Frankenstein, and it's a classic. It's definitely a classic.
It kind of reminds me of that movie by Abrams. I forget. Super 8.
Super
Did you guys
8.
see Super 8?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, very inspired by that. The ending though, didn't make any sense because to one of the characters, he's one of the youngest members. He wrote literally a letter to the army in like pencil, saying like there are monsters. And literally at the end, when the monsters are destroyed, the army comes. It's like, and the army's like, "Hey, we're the monsters." Like, wait, what? Y'all knew about this? So yeah, definitely Monster Squad is definitely up there.
You know, it was a unintentionally scary thing as a kid. The first season of the Rugrats.
Really?
Yeah, like it had really scary animation. The one with like the big
can see.
baby.
Oh,
I can see what
yeah. They were saying that episode should be illegal.
Yeah, that one was scary. The one where he had to get the sippy cup for the first time, and the giant sippy cup was like. It just also had a really creepy like
It did.
animation style. Like it was like
The
very beginning of it, and it just had like
Smiling.
The one that messed me up was the one. It was Chucky. He was afraid. He thought there was a monster under his bed. You know, at the end, it turns out it was just a sweater. You know?
We all been there.
But
Kids.
like, because you know, it's going off like kids' animations, like you know, or kids' imaginations. I should say. You know, what they perceive in the shadows is very different. So like this whole episode, and the voice that they used, creepy as hell. Like if you ever watched this episode, hold on, I'm trying to pull up. I'll even pull up a picture to show how frightening it looks. But the scariest thing about it, because the monster under the bed keeps talking to him, and it's like the deep, scary ass voice is what made it, you know, creepy. But then again, like I said, it just turned out to be just like a sweater that was under his bed the whole time.
Like a green sweater.
Yeah.
But we're talking about Chucky though. Chucky was scared of everything. He was scared of his own shadow, for crying out loud.
Trying to pull up a picture of what it was, because like I said, it even looked creepy. There it was.
Yeah,
That's how it looked, yeah.
It looked like Reptar upside down.
Yeah,
with
like
fangs.
that alone is scary on its own, like right there. Like,
yeah.
Well, yeah, it was just a sweater, and then there goes the big baby one.
There
you're
goes
talking
the
about.
big
Like I
baby,
said,
the
that
big purple
episode,
lips.
yeah, that episode should, like I said, it should be banned. Like they should not air this episode again. How scary that shit was.
Well, we talked about Goosebumps. We have to talk about Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Are You Afraid of the Dark? Yeah, that was on Nickelodeon. It was one of the shows on the Snick lineup. Also, I remember. Had a lot. Yeah, it was like almost the same as Goosebumps. I think this one was even also shot in Canada too, I believe, if I'm correct. But basically, yeah, with that show, where Goosebumps was just based off like every different episode. Every episode was just a different book, really. But this was like campfire tales that these kids would tell. And each one was like the tale of like the Ghastly Grinner, the tale of like the Pinball Wizard. You know, Ghastly Grinner was my favorite one personally, because that was just a creepy ass episode. Like, you know, you definitely see like the Joker influence, you know, in there and everything, with me being a jester and having like the infectious laugh that everyone else have. And then them drooling like the green slime like out of their lips. Like it was pretty scary ass fucked up episode. If you guys catch that one, if you've never seen that, I would definitely watch that episode. If you see any episode, Are You Afraid of the Dark?
I think my favorite one is I think it's called what is it? It's not Zeke, the one with the clown in the fun house.
I think he just said that one.
What's his name? He had a name.
He had a name.
He had a name.
I want to say Zeke, but I'm thinking of Zeke the plumber from Salute
Your Shorts.
Salute Your Shorts.
I almost said Zeke the Clown too. I'm like,
I want to say Zeke the Clown.
That was the scariest episode of Salute Your Shorts.
It was Zeke the plumber.
Zeke the plumber.
But
Weird as hell.
but that episode with the clown and the clown house was my favorite, because there was one scene when the lead character, when he's walking in the fun house, it's completely dark. And then there's like the mirror. Like, you ever go to those fun houses, you have like the mirrors that like messes up the image or whatever.
Zebo the Clown.
Zebo the Clown. Yeah, I know it start with a Z. Zebo the Clown. And he's walking, he sees the mirror, and then all of a sudden he sees Zebo. But Zebo's not, because in the show you kind of just see Zebo like in this animatronic looking thing that comes out the door. But you see the real life Zebo, and he looks freaky. Like, he looks like this man seeing some dude dressed up with a clown smoke a cigar, just talking to that creepy voice like, "Hey, what are you doing here, kid?" And then like, even just how the episode is, like, for a kid's show, when you watch that episode, whoever directed that did a really good job building suspense, because there was a point where the boy was in the house by himself, and clearly Zebo was stalking him. But like throughout the whole time he is stalking him, you're actually wondering, like, is he gonna get him? Like, you don't see him, but you smell the cigar. Because that clown, he had like cigars. He was like a bank robber or something. They got killed. And then he went and earlier he had put like a bowl of spaghetti in the microwave, and then he smelled something burning. He opens it up and it's like a bowl full of like burnt cigars. So like even just how the suspense was built in that for a kid show wasn't
like
good.
like he was someone who got shot there.
He was like a bank robber or something.
Yeah.
He escaped into the fun house and he got shot there. And the whole thing was it was like this thing where they dared their friend. It was three of them. It was like a brother and a sister and their friend, lead character, who was like a jerk. And I was like, why are they friends with this a-hole? But like they dare him to be like, oh, you know, go in the house and you got to steal his nose off the thing. And he takes his nose, and Zebo's like haunting him because he wants his nose back. And what's also even scarier is that you find out at the end that the guy who runs the funhouse is Zebo himself.
Okay.
Surprise! Little twist with a little lemon. But yeah, so that's my favorite episode of Are You Afraid of Dogs? Zebo the Clown.
Yeah, mine was Gassy Girl. Any other children's horror goodies?
I didn't read the books, but I saw the movie recently of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Yes.
And
I enjoyed the movie.
I enjoyed
the movie, actually.
Some creepy moments in it.
And I remember reading some of the stories as a kid, like in 4th grade. So yeah, and it was the visually it was a great film, and I mean it wasn't gory or anything like that, but I actually enjoyed it.
I mean, I jumped. Was Harold? That was the
Scarecrow?
The Scarecrow, right?
Scarecrow.
Oh yeah.
The fat Scarecrow was just like chilling.
Yeah, it was like all slumped, you know.
That's one really creepy Scarecrow. What the hell?
I was happy to see like children's horror, you know, again like on the big screen. I feel like I mean I'm not in that demographic anymore, but watching it I was like I would have eaten this up as a kid, and it was still good like as an adult, you know. It played well like in what it was trying to do.
I was creeped out in that scene where the hallway and it was like cornered because all the monsters were running down.
The big
lady.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's just walking out. Well, she had the mean ass.
Yeah, I was like, yeah.
So she's in there just pacing herself down this hallway. They coming down every corner, and then like the red lights come on. Like,
I was like, ew.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And the Jangly Man had a pretty creepy design too. The one that was like on the ceiling and stuff like that, stabbing around.
Yeah, because they had an actual actor who was like a contortionist,
really
play him. Yeah, which
that's
was
the way
really,
to go.
Really dope, you know. So that's why, like visually, like the movie was like very good looking. Like even if it wasn't like the best, like but visually, you know, stuff like that. And I don't know. I pissed my pants at the one with the soup one. The chick with the missing toe.
Oh yeah.
And she was under the bed. Like, man, that shit caught me way off guard. Like I remember I legit like, you know, jumped like at that moment. Yeah, it was like she looked amazing in there, like visually. Like I want to see them continue, like because they kind of set it up for another one, because there was multiple books of the scary stories to tell in the dark. So, you know, there's more scary stories to tell in the dark, even more scary stories. And I don't know, there's probably another one called How About Some More?
Get a load of these scary stories.
Yeah.
You thought we were done, but we got more scary stories in the dark.
But yeah, because even that one's like, I guess it could be children's, but it seems like it's a little more
like a teenage,
Yeah, I agree.
you know, or early adult, you know, kind of, you know, adult, because the stories itself were very creepy, because that book even had problems getting published because they thought that the stuff was too violent, you know, back in the day. So even the author, he always had trouble even just getting these books out, because, you know, stories they wanted him to change. They felt like they were way too scary. But there was I can't remember the name of it, but back in 2nd grade, I don't know, George, you remember? It was like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, but it was something a little more mild.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of it, but I remember it had multiple different stories in there. But my favorite always one. It's such a like cliche story now, like you hear, like you see this in like everything. But I just remember as a kid, like my favorite story in there was like, I think it was about a cab driver, and he picks up this kid, he drops the kid off, and nothing left behind was but like a yellow scarf or something like that. And then so he goes back to the house. It's like, hey, someone left their yellow scarf and they were dropped off here. And like, oh, this belonged to like my son who died like 10 years ago. So he was driving a ghost,
Yeah, I think there was another one with a scarf too, where a little girl wore it around her neck, and it got tighter and tighter, and her head popped.
Oh, okay, maybe that's what. That's what. I mean, I think
Maybe.
That's one thing. I may be confusing two different ones. I think okay, I think that's one. So maybe it was a scarf that they left behind or something like that. But the one, the one you're talking, I remember. Yeah, the one that got so tight that the girl's head came off. Yeah, these books were.
Yeah, those are actually
I don't, those stuff like that exists like now. Do they still have these kind of?
They still make Goosebumps.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I'm not a kid. I'm not in the demographic.
Exactly.
I, don't know.
I won't know until I actually have a kid.
I feel like,
and then you like pick up the book, like, what the hell are you reading?
I did
find me reading it more than they are. Like, holy shit.
I did hear that this was maybe going a couple years ago. Recently though, that R.L. Stein was going to, because he had another series. I actually read that series when I was a kid called Fear Street, which was more like a preteen, teenage version of Goosebumps. And they were in talks that he was going to bring that back.
That man was working.
I feel like
he had a kid series, the teen series, and he wrote adult horror books.
I feel like it's hard to do scary kids shows nowadays because kids are just they're smarter, and they just like more like Adventure Time type of comedy or that show with the cat and fish.
They're obsessed with their TikToks and all that nonsense. You gotta make horror stories based off goofy stuff like that.
And the killers doing
they
the
actually pay
dances.
attention now to the stories.
But it's like a lot of, but they like, if you look at it, like teens and kids, like they have latched on to some like there's been some like internet phenomenons like based off like horror things, like the whole like Slender Man was like a whole big thing, for a while, but they kind of botched it with all the live action movies they made.
And those movies were terrible.
Yeah, and by the time they came out, like I think the novelty wore off, and then they weren't good at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, probably more about scary games more than scary movies.
But like I said, I think if they take some of these like because what was the one? What's the one of the most recent ones? What's the creepy lady with the big eyes?
Oh, Momo.
Oh,
yes,
Momo.
Yeah.
They were supposed to be doing a movie. They were writing a movie based on that or something. I was like, oh god.
They could have like the concept, like because it was kind of like
creepy.
what is it, like kind of like a chain mail like typical kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, was that
it?
it?
A chain message that the kids would get on WhatsApp, and then like they would become friends with your child, and then eventually tell them to like kill your parents and like do like messed up stuff like that.
Come on, the movie wrote itself.
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't see how that wasn't a movie by now.
Why is it not greenlit?
I know, like, and by the time they make it again, like people are gonna be like, oh, I remember that from like 2017, yeah, for sure. Like,
It'll be onto something else.
I know, but it's like good thing we have like Five Nights at Freddy's still coming out, like I said, because kids love that damn property.
It's getting a movie?
Yeah, it's getting a movie. Yeah, because it first got taken to Warner Brothers had bought the rights to the movie first, and I think they had wrote it, but the creator Scott Compton wasn't happy about the script at all. So then time kind of went by and they kind of let it go, and then it got picked up by Blumhouse. So now Blumhouse is doing the Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
You know who's behind it yet?
As far as I know, Scott Cawthon is creating, or he's writing the movie. I don't know who they have directing it, but I know the creator of the series is writing it.
He should be.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Damn, Blumhouse is doing every horror film.
Everything.
They are monopolizing the game.
Yeah, everything.
No, that's exciting though.
I'm super excited for any upcoming horror movies, y'all. Or ones that we supposed to get.
Halloween Kills.
Halloween Kills.
I know.
Candyman.
We would have had Halloween Kills. That was the one I wanted the most.
I wanted to see that too.
Because I really enjoyed 2018's
I agree.
Halloween.
I felt like that was the way to bring the slasher genre to the new generation. The way it was filmed and how they did it, I was like, okay, this is how it should be done.
I would love to see Friday come back.
They've been trying to, but it's been caught up in the legal
loophole
for like the past few years.
Remember they were supposed to do like a found footage one,
back, Jason.
and then like
LeBron James was supposed to be behind one.
Yeah.
Oh my.
It'd be nice to see them do it. Like I think one of the fan movies did it just recently, but see it in like a different setting, Like I think they were talking about trying to do one where it's like wintertime, you know.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
in
That
camp,
would be
'cause
dope.
it's always summer
night, yeah.
camp, you know. So I think they just want to change up the.
He's got an
the
off
environment,
season.
you know.
He's got to train in the off season.
You gotta set those traps.
That's what he's training.
He's training like
more traps.
he's training like Rocky did in 4 when he went to Russia, and he's training in the snow. Gets to the top of the mountain, instead of yelling Drago, he's like teenagers. I think the movie I'm excited for is the remake of Candyman, because I want to see how. I'm pretty sure Jordan Peele's gonna address it in a way, because like I said, the first Candyman caught me off guard as a kid, scared me, and it's a really good horror film, but it's kind of problematic because if you know the backstory of Candyman, he falls in love with a white woman. He was a slave, and they found out, they killed him, cut his hand off, and everything. And throughout the film, the protagonist is a white woman, a blonde hair, blue eyed white woman. He's chasing her, and it's kind of like, okay, so we're reinforcing the whole the trope of the black man lusting after the white woman and losing his mind. And then he's terrorizing the black people in the projects, Capri Green projects in Chicago. That's no longer up, but terrorizing them. I'm like, you should be on the north side terrorizing the people that ancestors that killed you. Like, this is clearly from the mind of a white man. So now this is coming from the mind of Jordan Peele. I want to see how they're going to address that. And I think also just by how I looked at the trailer that they're going to be addressing the issue of gentrification.
Yeah, it seems like,
because for what I've seen, it doesn't look like this is like a reboot remake. It looks like kind of like a reboot sequel.
I'm pretty sure there's like a sneak sequel.
It's like a sneak sequel because there's a character from the original that's in there, Vanessa L. Williams, and I thought that she was just making a cameo, but I think she's playing her character from the original one. So I think it's going to be talking about how, because if you know, Capri Green Project was one of the most notorious projects in the country, which was in the South Side of Chicago, and it was tore down, I believe, in 2003 or 2000. I don't know. It was tore down a couple years ago, but I think they're going to talk about that subject in there. So that's the one I'm excited for, to see how they're going to do.
Yeah, I'm excited for that too. It looks really good.
Other than Halloween Kills, the next Scream installment is my anticipation. It's not coming out till 2021, so it wasn't supposed to come out like this year or anything. But Scream 5, or I don't know what the title is, but technically it's Scream 5, or with the sometimes they put like the 5 in front of it as the S, and it looks like 5 Cream. So I was, that's the movie I'm gonna call it. 5 Cream is the movie I'm excited to.
Hasn't Sidney Prescott been through enough?
She
should be in therapy at this point.
And this got picked up by Spyglass, because after the whole Weinstein incident, a lot of those properties got sold off. So when Spyglass bought the rights to Scream, that's when they decided to make a new one. So this one signed on the original cast. Nev Campbell, Courtney Cox, David Arquette. So they all three of them, as they're signed on. And they must say, you say Sidney Prescott all three of them have been enough. They've been all alive since the first movie, and they barely made it out of the first movie. But I'm excited for this one.
And they got Radio Silence writing and directing it, and they've been killing it recently with like VHS and Ready or Not and like those movies, which are all like kind of meta in themselves too. So I feel like that's a good choice to take on the legacy of Scream. Because they're going to have big shoes to fill with Wes Craven. So, like... Yeah.
They were saying that's one of the reasons why Nev Campbell was hesitant to sign on, because she wanted to do something that was really going to honor him. I personally think she was just waiting for more money to be offered. And that's the story she just went and told everybody. But I'm hoping that, yes, because like the first one was like a meta take on slashers, especially because the genre had died out at the time, and they reinvented it. The second one dealt with sequels, and it's those common tropes and how to deal with them, how to survive a sequel. The third one
dealt with how to deal with the trilogy.
Yeah,
the third edition.
Exactly.
Everything comes back around.
They coming, linking back to like the first time around, the first movie and everything. And then the fourth one dealt with reboots, basically. So I'm trying to see, like, other than them kind of covering all those aspects of, horror, like what can this one really be an analysis on or a take on, you know, because they did reboots, they did sequels, they did trilogies.
Maybe nostalgia. I don't know. But even though that's considered
there's
reboot,
remakes.
yeah.
Remakes separate from reboots. Technically, they are.
Listen, they
You know.
they saw the numbers that Halloween did back in 2018. They was like, well, guess what we got to do? Bring it back.
But Halloween was justified because it's like a series that, you know, I love Michael Myers, but the series itself
It's shaky. It's a very.
It's not the best horror series for one of the most iconic killers, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's a very, very shaky series, and I can see why. And I'm glad they actually went the route of like, no, all the films that happen in between are not canon. This takes place after the original one. This is what we're going for. I thought that was smart because, like I said, it's a very shaky.
Well, they did that with Halloween H2O too, but then
Yeah.
they did Resurrection after. And they were like, oh, we got to start the timeline again.
Yeah, Busta Rhymes, Kung Fu kicking Michael
Reboot
Myers.
it.
I can't.
They're doing the same. They just announced a new Texas Chainsaw, and they're doing
the same thing
again.
Yeah, so
They
I
just
think-
did it with Texas Chainsaw 3D. We have
And
Texas Chainsaw 2,
That was horrible.
and now we're getting another one that's a direct sequel to the
to
first one.
the first one.
I have a question. Like,
See.
so Scream is like
5 Cream.
5 Cream.
Five Cream.
It's not it wasn't too serious, right, of a horror, or would you?
It was a serious horror, but it was because it was so meta. Like it was a self-aware horror movie. Like they realized they're in, like the characters, they realize, like it's supposed to be like if it were in a real life situation. So they realized like all the common tropes. They even say like a lot of things, like they give like a list of rules, like, you know, don't say I'll be back, because everyone who says that in a horror movie dies. Don't have sex.
God,
Don't
I have
do
to
drugs.
I have to go to bath. I'll be right back.
But it does have some comedic moments like in there, you know, definitely, like it's
And like the killer being so clumsy, you know,
Maybe I
like,
feel
'cause
like
it's a
that
real
because
person.
of
Like,
the scary
and
movie
you know,
also.
and you know what was so great about the first Scream? You get it in other sequels, but you really get it in the first one. It's like anytime there's any damage done to Ghostface, you hear it. So like the scene where Rose McGowan gets killed and she's throwing the beer bottles at him, you hear him go, ugh, ugh. I thought that was cool. It's like, oh, you do bleed, you do hurt.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Just like I
thought that
said,
was
they
cool.
made it as like, if this is how it would be in a real life situation. Like most horror movies, they're helpless, but pretty much every time he kills somebody, it's not an easy kill for Ghostface in these movies. Like they're putting up a fight. You know, he ultimately wins them, but you know, in a situation if you're getting chased by just somebody in a long ass robe, you know, and a knife, like
Literally, if he ran, all you had to do was just step on his robe.
Like I said, he probably would trip on it before he even gets to you.
I would love to see a crossover with Scream and Home Alone with Kevin McAllister. I'm just putting the traps in.
Yeah. Like my second question would be scary movies went into a rut for a little while. What do you think is the first movie that started bringing it back? Because I think ever since Paranormal Activity,
Well,
things started really getting back to the high scale.
Like parody movies, like parody of horror
just
movies.
scary
or-
movies are reaching back to the mainstream,
But-
almost levels.
but what era-
Even not
But what
I was
era-
talking about
what-
now.
Oh, now?
Recently, yeah.
Recently?
At least 10 years.
I think The Conjuring and Insidious like really
brought it
like
back. 'Cause
brought.
now there's one almost or 2 or 3 every year instead
Yeah.
of just one.
I would definitely, I would agree, like Conjuring, kind of like, because we had like, you know, paranormal like haunt movies like for a while, but none of them I think had an impact like the way The Conjuring did when that came out. And then as far as like other things like found footage, like when Paranormal Activity came out, found footage was like seen everywhere. They did so many found footage movies after the first Paranormal Activity, where it became just so oversaturated, where like now there hasn't been any that came out, and I think in like any recent memory, I can't think of like any, like we used to be in that era, like there's like early like 2010s and like a little before that was like most everything was found footage. Now with Conjuring, I think we're more into like the more haunted, you know, era. That's why we got like the Netflix shows like the Haunting of like Bly Manor, you know,
Haunted the Hill House.
yeah, like
Because
Key.
I don't think you would have an It movie if the horror didn't really come back up to mainstream levels.
I think with it, the fact that bringing back old properties and seeing how successful they are, I think that's what helped with
Halloween.
it. Like so,
Halloween,
you know, it, Halloween. There was another one I just had in my head.
Do you guys think The Purge helped?
All three of them.
Nah.
That's why I asked. That's why I asked.
I think The Purge was a cool addition in terms of like original
A new
movies.
concept.
Yes.
Coming out.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest. We'll have somebody be like, you know what? If The Purge really happened, I might have to take them out. And I just loved how the movie is like, crime is legal for 24 hours, and everybody chooses murder. No one's
I'm
like,
say if it were real life,
Like, meet me at the bank.
meet me at the bank, son.
like I think online crimes would be like the biggest thing, like fraud or like stuff like that, like stuff like that. People
Yeah,
be in
why
their
are people
home.
thinking
Like,
about trying to kill everybody?
I know, like I think that would be I think people would even be too scared
like
to
Black
even
Friday.
leave the house. Yeah.
We need to get that movie of people at the bank.
Black
Oh God, don't! Somebody's listening right now. Black
But yeah,
Friday.
like I said, the concept, like I guess, like if they took the concept, and there are more movies kind of inspired off the idea,
Yeah.
something, right? I could see that, but nothing's really happened. Like I said, we're in the era of like hauntings. That's why they churning out 50 like Conjuring spin-offs a year, all of which either been hit or miss or mostly like bad. Like 2 Conjuring movies, yes, but then like the Annabelle movies.
The Nun was horrible.
The Nun, The Curse of La Llorona. So like we're still in that phase as far as like slashers, but I think Halloween 2018 helped with slashers. We would have seen another Friday if that wasn't caught up, in the movie, because last movie was 2009.
We wouldn't even get another Child's Play.
Yeah.
Or even the
Yeah,
series that's coming out. Although I will say, for me, I think, in my opinion, it was Get Out, because when Get Out came out in Us, it started this whole renaissance of black horror.
True.
And black horror, not black horror, but horror in general has been a genre that I feel as black people, they denied us. They kept us out of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like now you have Get Out, Us, you have Candyman coming out, you have Lovecraft Country, which is an amazing show. You have the unfortunate sequels of Tales from the Hood. We won't talk about that. So there is this renaissance of black horror that's coming out that I think is cool.
Antebellum also.
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
Antebellum,
Bad Hair's coming out.
Bad Hair.
Yeah, I would agree with at least it being for black horror movies, that being the start of it all. Because the only other movie that I knew that was black horror was the Leprechaun one.
Oh, back to the Hood.
Oh yeah, they went back
in the Hood and then back
to the Hood.
Yeah.
We didn't say enough for the first time he went back to the Hood. We have to go again.
But we only watched it because we thought it would be funny. So.
It was like something like that is meant to be goofy. Like, come on, like the Leprechaun in the Hood. Like, okay, this is going to be something.
He goes by Lep in there. Lep.
I think
when
a lot of companies are leading resurgences. Like we were saying, like Blumhouse is doing a lot of horror, and I think another one of my personal favorites, at least for like I guess the more like artsy horror, A24 has been like really killing it with like the more like uncomfortable horror, like Hereditary, Midsummer, The Witch, The Lighthouse, like all of those really like long slow burn type horror movies. And I've been loving everything that
like
A24 has been churning out. Like they've been killing it.
Agreed. Trying to think, is any more upcoming?
Not upcoming, but just past. It was meant to be extremely goofy. Did any of you guys get a kick out of Hubie Halloween?
I didn't see it.
I didn't see
Heard
it.
it was terrible.
It is. It's an Adam Sandler movie. Most of those aren't meant to be really good.
Yeah.
I just can't bring myself. I don't know. Like, the thing is, I used to love this guy a lot. There's a lot of his movies I still love.
Me too.
Billy Madison. Happy
Gilmore,
Little Nicky.
Big Daddy.
I feel like it's like college humor or something. Like,
Yeah. No, I will tell you, the movie was
because
very bad. It was very bad.
It was expected. I knew it was going to be a shit movie.
But I thought it'd be at least a little bit funnier. There were some funny moments, and I know that's his big thing.
You want to watch a
People are still asking for a second one,
horror
so.
movie? Watch Nickelodeon's Fun Size. If you want to watch a good, it takes place on Halloween. It's not a horror movie. It takes place on Halloween. I could have brought it up when we was talking about the stuff over there, but that I'm 100% sure, without even seeing Hoobie Halloween, that is a way better Halloween movie than Adam Sandler's.
It was very bad. It takes also place on Halloween Day, but yeah, it wasn't good.
No, I knew that.
So did I, but I still watched it.
Like, see, as I say, I can't bring myself to waste my time. I've been trying to watch like new horror movies also. Like I watched The Owners, with your girl Maisie Williams from
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. I don't watch Game of Thrones, but I just know she's from there. That was pretty good. I'm trying to think, did I see any other newer horror movies? I meant to watch The Invisible Man because I keep hearing that was good. I didn't watch it.
What was it?
The Invisible Man.
Oh, I have not seen that yet.
That was pretty good. That was a cool twist on the concept where they took the Invisible Man, but they made it more like technological. Like he's got like a suit that makes himself invisible with like cameras and shit like that.
And
Smoking mirrors.
Blumhouse did that one.
I think so.
Oh.
I'm not sure. I couldn't say.
Blumhouse-ish.
Okay.
Because that's what they're doing now because the Dark Universe failed to take off the ground that they were trying to do. So now they're just doing all of the original Universal monster properties as like one-offs.
That's what they should have done.
That should did that from the beginning.
Yeah.
Them trying to
don't announce a new universe before it's established.
And I think that's why it failed because I even heard when they had like screenings of what was the
Mummy?
The Mummy, and when like the title comes,
it shows the Universal logo. Because I went and seen it in theater, and then it turns around.
Dark universe. And like I heard like in a lot of like tests, like focus groups that the audience was like, really, come on. I was like, that's not good. That's not good at all.
But they didn't seem like they weren't even gonna go a more traditional horror route. It seemed like they were just gonna go a more action.
When you cast Tom Cruise, you don't think horror movie.
They were just like, hey, let's do what Marvel's doing, but with monsters. So everybody's gotta have a universe now. So
that's what's hot in the
It
streets.
could have worked, but
I'm telling you,
casting Tom Cruise is not the move.
No.
Marvel set the stage.
One thing I'm excited for, I don't know if you would consider this horror, and it's not a movie, but it's a show. But they're having Dexter's coming back. Dexter's coming back. I'm happy they're doing like one 10-part special season episode, and I'm excited it's coming back because
is it coming back like as like a couple of seasons or like a one-time like
it's a one-time thing. I'm hoping that my thing is that I hope that they make the last season non-canon because I'm a big fan of Dexter. I loved the show when it was out, watched it religiously, and the last season was trash. We all know probably the worst ending to a finale other than Game of Thrones. And I'm just like, okay, y'all gotta fix this. I'm hoping that they fix it.
Who did the last season of Dexter, right?
Who?
The same guy who did Iron Fist.
Ooh.
Hey, yikes.
Strikes. Now all makes sense.
That's why when they announced Iron Fist, I was like, I have a bad feeling about this, and I never watched it.
Oh, now it's all coming together now. It's all coming together. Because Dexter was such a good show. Because when you watch, what I loved about the show was that he was, even though he was a serial killer, but he killed the bad guys, and that made him an anti-hero, and you actually rooted for him. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh, because there was like, because they made a lot of like each season kind of had like a villain that they were hunting, whatever, and they made the villain so bad, like it makes you really want him to catch him. Like especially I think it was season 5 with John Lithgow was in there, and that was a really good season. Because spoilers, should have watched it.
I didn't watch it, but I've seen most of it, so I know the exact season you're talking about because my ex watched the show religiously.
Yeah, when his wife was killed, and so it was a really good show, and I'm hoping that they just fix it because the last season was trash. They got to go back, and I'm hoping that if this is successful, they'll do that for Game of Thrones because that needs to be redone too.
Yeah. I saw a theory that he made the villains look out worse than they are, so he could justify it to himself. But it was like it was one of those theories that the guy probably made it half the stuff up. But
well, in the show, you find I think that season, it's like he talks to like the ghost of his like dad, or who raised him, and it taught him how to kind of like harness his evil and just like don't kill regular people, kill the bad guys, you know. He's kind of like a Punisher if the Punisher was a serial killer, even though the Punisher kind of is. But he kind of is, but yeah.
Just because he's cool and use all these guns,
He's a psycho.
Lives off greed.
Yeah.
He's a psycho.
Don't mean he's not a serial killer. He absolutely
That guy likes to kill.
yes. Last week we talked about our favorite killers, and then we put them in a tier list. Now we don't necessarily have to put them in the tier list, but we could if we wanted to.
We'll see how they go.
So we instead of doing our favorite killers like we did last week, so we pick our favorite final girls this week. Did y'all have y'all picks or any favorite final girls in general?
I can't believe I forgot her name, but Sigourney Weaver's character, Ripley. Yes, Ripley.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Get away from her, you bitch!
Top tier.
Yeah.
So she's murking aliens.
Yeah, murking aliens.
And she got her own sneaker. They got the alien stompers Reebok.
Yeah.
In the whole movie, like with her, it's like you were really, really on her side because everyone
Hoping
was
that
so
exactly.
stupid on that ship. It was just like, yo, why doesn't anyone listen like to her? And I get it. Like,
Made it easy
she's
for the
only,
xenomorph.
Exactly, she's the only woman and everything. So they kind of, oh, what is a woman though? That whole thing.
There's no alien. How's there aliens on here even though we're out of space and we're thousands of light years from Earth, but there are no aliens?
What?
Yeah, they really were stupid. So I was really happy to see
you
her
were really
win.
on
Yeah.
her side, and like I was kind of hoping, like, yeah, kill everyone else, but I know she's going to make it because she's the only two smartest people on that ship was the xenomorph and her.
Yeah,
Everyone
exactly.
else stupid. You know what I mean? So I can definitely agree why you would pick Ripley as your favorite final girl. You had one?
No,
George?
I was gonna say the girl that
Clarice.
yeah.
I love Clarice.
Because like it's something that I think would probably have to stay with her for years after. Like I think he said something
She
that
needs some
AJ was
serious
telling me
therapy.
about. He's like, oh,
And that's what makes her strong.
yeah.
What psychological torture? Jesus.
Look, it's not my pick. That's his pick. I'm just trying to help him out with reasons.
Because like sometimes people become the killer after become I mean I don't know.
But I think Hannibal because he's supposed to. If I'm not saying he's gay.
Yeah.
But I think he actually liked her. I really think he did have some sort of feelings for her.
Yeah, maybe he was trying to craft her to be her protege or something.
Yeah,
like,
he wanted to hit that.
Continue
Murdoch, you had one?
I feel like I gotta pick the OG Laurie Strode.
Laurie.
Classic. I mean, even though I don't forgive her in the first one for dropping the knife. That's still the one scene every time I see the original Halloween. I'm like, why would you do that? But in Halloween 2018, she was ready to go. She was ready.
She was a changed
to take him
woman.
down.
Yeah.
Ain't no dropping knives now.
Not today, Satan.
She dropped the knives and she picked up shotguns. Like,
Facts.
she was prepared this time around, and she became Kevin McAllister. At least she the way she had that house set up with the little kitchen island that shifted and had the little underground that was like rigged with the fire and explosives and all that. So yeah, she was decked out and she was sitting there doing her gun aiming
Target
training.
practice.
Yeah, like So I like how they made her like this, badass, complete. But she was someone completely damn near helpless in the first movie, and now she's just like, nah. I knew what I went up against. I know he's coming back, and this time I'm not fucking around. So I can see why you chose Laurie. What about you? Who you got?
I'm gonna go with Jada Pinkett and Demon Knight, Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight, because she was the final girl, but she was also a black final girl, which was something we really didn't really see. And not only, if you've seen that film, she was a smart final girl, and she not only saved the day, she saved the entire world, which I thought was dope. So yeah, my pick is Jada Pinkett Smith on that one.
What was the name of her character there?
Actually don't remember. I was gonna say Stoney, but that set it off.
Turns out she played the same character in both.
One blonde hair, one just with box braids. Yeah, I don't remember what her character name was, but she was definitely my favorite final girl.
My pick, my personally, my favorite is Sidney Prescott from the Scream series.
That's a survivor.
I was gonna say Nancy, but Nancy ended up getting got.
Honorable mention.
You know, yeah, exactly. We give her an honorable mention, but Sydney she started off.
Lori
like,
got in Halloween Resurrection too,
yeah,
but that's not
but
canon.
That's retcon,
anymore.
so we won't count that. You know, but Sydney Prescott, like I said, she started off very much like Lori, regular old high school girl. You know, someone's trying to kill her, killing off all her friends, and by the time it gets to her, like you know, she puts up a fight. You know, she puts up a fight the whole movie because it's 5 minutes up. All right, it's fine. But yeah, she puts up a fight. Not even the whole movie, but the whole series. And she's one of those final girls who becomes like super resourceful and like kind of like how Lori is now. With that just happened over time. Like with Sidney Prescott, like she just got like that like by the second movie, and like even by the end of the first movie, you know, she had enough. Like she found out her boyfriend was the killer, and you know. She just straight up shoots him in the head. Like, she pulled no hesitation. She doesn't drop the knife like your girl Lori or anything like that. Or, you know, nah, she had the gun. She shot him point blank in the head. She didn't think about, well, why, how could you do this? You know, you told me you love me. Nah, she said fuck all that. Shot him. Then she just got smarter and smarter, you know, through the year. Like, you even see like small things, like she cuts her hair and everything, because, you know, you can't be, you know, running from killer, you know, getting your hair pulled or anything. That just little smart things like that. She's got bulletproof vest now, and by the time it comes to the third movie, like, she's, like I said, she's very similar to, like, how Lori was, but you, at least with the Scream movies, because they didn't really get retcon, we kind of was able to see this progression of her becoming more, you know, resourceful, just preparing herself for like the inevitable. Like I said, everyone around her ends up dying, you know, but her. Like she always puts up the best fight. That's why personally she's my favorite final girl.
I wouldn't date her, but yeah, she's dope.
I mean,
you might die if you date her. Bro.
You have a chance of dying, but because like I said, she kicks this guy's ass a lot of the time. Like she might save my life. You know what I mean?
You would take that chance.
I would rather be her boyfriend than one of the supporting roles, because I'm definitely dead. If I'm a supporting character, I'm definitely dead. Like there's no help at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially if you told me and trained me too.
Exactly.
Make me your protege.
Yeah.
Teach me. Show me the ways.
Oh, and Jada Pinkett, I just looked at her name. Well, her character in Demon Knight was Geraldine, yeah.
And if I wasn't gonna pick, because I had so many. And you know what's funny? Like I almost said it, but it was just based off one movie. But I just love the progression of the character through the movie. I was gonna say Mia from the Evil Dead remake. Like I thought she was amazing. Like I said, they took her on their retreat because this girl, you know, she was an addict.
She was on that shit.
She was on that shit, you know? She was going through withdrawals and everything, like shakes and everything. Like, you know, this girl was going through it. And then the idiot reads the book. All her friends start getting killed. And, like, this sobers her the hell up, like, out of everything.
That would sober anybody up.
Exactly.
I wouldn't even take a drink. I wouldn't even smoke a cigarette.
Like, this exactly. This
Sweat
is
that
the
all
best
out.
rehabilitation anyone could ever go through.
They should play that movie in AA.
Now
Well, one of the things because we're looking that I loved about Jada Pinkett being the final girl in Demon Knight was how smart, because in the movie the head demon played by Billy Zane, one of the things that he does is he kind of seduces people, and then that's how he turns them into demons. He tried that with her and it didn't work. She actually resisted him. She didn't give in to. He always attacked he always knew what you really wanted, and he knew what she wanted, and she still like resisted, which I thought was dope.
Final girls, baby.
There's some good picks there.
Yeah. Like I mean, I know I had like 15 picks. You know, Mia, Nancy.
Sarah Connor doesn't count, right? That's an action movie.
Who? Sarah
Sarah Connor.
I look at Terminator 1 as a sci-fi slasher,
Sci-fi
like horror. Like, so I mean, if you wanted to throw it in there just based on the first movie, I totally would, because she did the same thing that like our picks did. but just a little earlier.
Yo,
Yeah.
By the second
Same
movie,
movie.
By the second movie, she was.
Yeah,
she
like,
she wasn't playing no games anymore.
Nobody had a glow up as a final girl than Sarah Connor.
Yeah, like,
she had that
muscles
major
and
glow up.
everything, like, you know,
She
Not
was
my
in there
child.
doing pull ups and
combat
sit
boots.
ups.
Yeah.
Like she was ready to go. Like she was training as she was the one fighting the war by herself. If she was going to take on a cybernetic army on her own, you know. So just based off the first movie, because the first movie is, like I said, there's even debates. Like people consider that a sci-fi horror movie, the first one. So if you did go with that, then I would absolutely count Sarah Connor as a final girl for the first Terminator one, because everything else was just pure action. Whereas like the first movie, that's debatable. Like I would sci-fi, you know, horror almost. But yeah, I mean, I think we had a pretty good episode, you know, for our spookiest one yet. I thank everybody for listening or watching on YouTube or wherever you are consuming this talk. We appreciate it. Once again, you know, shout out to some of my other friends, their podcast. My boy Charles runs the All Things Aside podcast. Please check them out on All Things Aside podcast, you know, on YouTube and on Instagram. They're very great. You'll love them. You know, I want to support all my Jersey City locals. Please check them out when you do.
Breaking the Barrier podcast is another person that we have friends are.
Yes, check
friends
out
in there,
Breaking
too.
the Barrier.
Shout out my boy D Rotten on From the Dungeon podcast, and my boss at the comic shop. He's got a NBA podcast, the National Basketball Associations. They've got an NBA podcast. Both Asian males. Check them out too.
All right, anybody else got any
Shouty.
podcast y'all want? No.
Actually, no.
Definitely check those ones out though.
Yeah.
We appreciate y'all listening again. It's been with Reaper, Kylo Ren, Ghostface, Jason Voorhees, Michael Jackson. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks a lot.
Peace.